Hello everyone, happy Monday to you guys. Today I'll be sharing a trade idea with you guys, okay, that has a potential profit of 150 pips. All right, without further ado, let's jump in. Now, this trade idea is based off the Kiwi Yen pair, a rate hike of 0.25% or 0.5%. Okay, so the Reserve Bank of New Zealand will be meeting, okay, they'll be holding a monetary policy meeting this Wednesday, okay, at I think it's let me check my calendar. It's 0900 hours, okay, after which they will be holding a press conference at 1000 hours GMT plus 8. All right. So what's the motivation behind this trade idea? Okay, as I mentioned, the central bank will be meeting, right? So they will be deciding, okay, if there's any change, they're going to make any change in monetary policy. All right. In this case, the market is actually expecting the central bank, the RBNZ, to hike interest rates. The main focus here is whether or not it will be a 0.25% hike or a 0.5% hike. All right. Now, over here, okay, I actually mentioned that recent economic data releases from New Zealand have been strong, okay? So when we have strong economic data, okay, especially the inflation data and employment data, that will definitely boost, provide a boost, okay, to the central bank's decision, to move towards the whole hawkish move, okay? So in this case, all right, we see that during the third quarter, in New Zealand, okay, annual inflation rose by 2.2%, okay, which is actually faster than the previous quarter of 1.3%. Okay, it's way faster, all right. And yeah, 2.2%, okay, is actually already the RBNZ's already hit the RBNZ's 2% target, okay. And that's first point, okay, coming from inflation. Second, okay, which is employment, okay. One of the two most important things, okay, employment. Now, employment in the third quarter doubled from the second quarter, okay. Let me see if I actually have the data with me. Yes, so the most recent quarter, which is the third quarter data, okay, is actually 2.0%, all right? Whereas the previous quarter data release was 1.0%. Okay, so there's actually a doubling, okay, a doubling in employment, which is really, really very good, okay, coming from New Zealand, okay. No doubt, they are actually at the moment still trying to resolve this whole pandemic issue, trying to curb the rising number of cases, okay. As of, I think, this morning, okay, when I actually looked at the COVID chart for New Zealand, okay, unfortunately, number of cases are still rising, okay, albeit at, I would say, not so high level, okay, not so fast paced, okay, because we know that, New Zealand is very, very, very strict, okay. Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern, she does a very, very, very good job previously in curbing, the number of cases in New Zealand, okay, and then unfortunately, a new case was found, but right now, the tight restrictions over in New Zealand are actually having positive effects on the rising cases, okay. I mean, like positive effects on the whole COVID situation, okay. Otherwise, I believe COVID cases in New Zealand will probably shoot up even way faster than what it's doing at the moment. All right. So with this strong inflation, okay, and this strong employment data coming out from New Zealand, right? And by the way, we are actually seeing an unemployment rate falling below pre-pandemic level, all right, which is once again it's just cherry on top, adding a cherry on top, right? Because unemployment is also part of employment, right? So we may actually have a rise in employment, but then also a rise in unemployment as well, okay, due to participation rates. But in this case, it doesn't seem to be that case, okay? We have a strengthening of employment and a weakening in unemployment rates, all right? So, with strong economic data coming from New Zealand, and of course, okay, I'm not sure how many of you actually are following this, okay, but I pretty much follow a little on the New Zealand housing market, okay. It's actually currently on fire, okay, and like what the RBNZ governor, okay, Adrian Orr, puts it in his recent speech, prices are currently unsustainable and pose risks to the country's financial stability, okay. Look, housing prices in New Zealand has been rising not just recently, all right? It has been rising since months ago, at least 6 months ago, all right? It has been an issue. The market was actually worried that it may be a property bubble, okay? So because of this, okay, probably because of the all-time low interest rates, okay, that actually encourages people to take up housing loans, okay, to make investments, be it to make investments or to purchase homes for personal stay, okay. Either way, interest rate is low, okay, was low, okay, was low. It was at 0.25%, all right. So it's cheap to actually take up loans. Right now, okay, as of now, the New Zealand's interest rate is standing at 0.5%, all right. So, one way for the central bank to actually curb, to prevent this whole housing bubble from bursting, okay, well, basically is to increase interest rates, okay. Now, they are expected to increase, but it's a matter of whether it's 0.25% or 0.5%. Personally, I feel that with the strong data and the burning housing market, it's likely that the central bank will be considering a hike of 0.5%. Okay, so with that, there's actually I would say a potential, all right, potential in New Zealand yen, the New Zealand yen pair. Okay, so moving on to the chart, you can see that there's actually a purple region here. All right, so it's actually a 1 week, actually more than 1 week. All right, because if you were to look at, let me just highlight with another triangle, with another rectangle. Okay, probably like here, be like 1.5 week range. Okay, of New Zealand yen, within a 120 pips range consolidation, okay, however you want to put it, all right. So Kiwi yen isn't really showing any clear sign of direction. Is it moving up? Is it moving down? Things like that, right? Of course, previously we know that it has trended upwards, and then it came down slightly, probably because of the disappointment caused by the Reserve Bank of New Zealand. Okay, previously during the previous meeting, okay, because well, they were considering a hike in interest rate by 0.5%, but in the end, they only decided to move with 0.25%, which is in a way a disappointment sent across the market. Okay, which is why we are seeing some weakening in the New Zealand dollar. While back in probably October, yeah, probably October. Okay, so this time around, at the moment, okay, 2 days before the meeting, okay, we are seeing a range, okay, all right. So if let's say the RBNZ were to carry out a rate hike of 0.25%, personally, okay, if there's going to be some form of strengthening in New Zealand dollar across the board, it's likely going to be a brief and short one, okay? It's not going to be like some 180 pips, 100 pips kind of strengthening, okay? It's likely going to be just a small one, maybe like within 50 pips or so, okay, for a short period of time before coming back down, okay, before weakening, okay? So if it's a 0.25% hike in interest rates, okay, New Zealand dollar is likely going to strengthen short for a brief period of time, okay, for a small amount before coming back down. And because 0.25% is pretty much like a disappointment, right? Because, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, okay, we are seeing strong employment, we are seeing strong inflation, and we are seeing a burning hot property market in New Zealand, okay? All these are actually, strong reasons why the Reserve Bank of New Zealand should actually consider a rate hike of more than the 0.25% level, right? So if they were to actually carry out a 0.25% hike, this is probably going to be another disappointment, all right, coming out from the central bank, just like the previous meeting, all right? Hence, any form of strengthening, any form of initial strengthening is likely going to be short and brief. And it may, okay, eventually, all right, maybe hours later or maybe in a day, weaken further down from where it actually started. Okay, so that is the case if the central bank decides to hike interest rate by 0.25%. Now, if the central bank were to hike interest rate by 0.5%, all right, now we are talking, okay, it is likely that the strength of New Zealand dollar will be more, I would say, sustainable, okay, will be sustainable. Which is why we may actually be looking at a buy stop order being triggered, okay, at the 80.8 level, all right? So in a case whereby the central banks actually hike interest rate by 0.5%, yes, then I'm be more, I would say, bullish for the New Zealand dollar, okay? So in a case whereby, it happens, all right, entry level, a buy entry at 80.80, okay? Where would my stop loss be? My stop loss would be somewhere below the purple region, which is the ranging region, okay? The consolidation, which is around like 140 to 150 pips, okay? 140 to 150 pips. And then my potential take profit level will probably be below this high, which is also around 140 to 150 pips, okay? So if you guys actually look at this region over here, there's like a high over here. Let me just put a line here, okay? Let's change it to solid line. So this green line over here, okay, it's kind of like I would say a resistance, okay? It tried to break above, it failed. Over here, we see a test of it bouncing off the resistance, and we see prices actually come close, but yeah, come close, but not close enough compared to the previous times, all right? So I would say anywhere around this, a take profit level of anywhere around this region or slightly lower than this region will be viable, okay, which is around 140 to 150 pips, okay? Now, in this scenario whereby, the central bank were to increase interest rate by 0.25%, like I mentioned earlier, it may actually be a disappointment, all right? Disappointment meaning the Kiwi yen may actually ended up weakening, okay? And if it actually comes to the 79.3 level, okay, I'll be looking for a sell trade, all right, a sell trade. Then my stop loss will be somewhere, as you guys probably have guessed it, above this consolidation zone, okay, which is also around 150, 140, 150 pips, okay. As for my take profit, it's also 150. This is 200, probably around here. Okay, but for the sell side, okay, let me just highlight this, all right. Will I be able to get, okay, I think it's a bit not clear. Now, there's one thing I want to highlight for the sell stop order, all right. You can actually set it at 150 pips, 140, 150 pips, which is around this level, okay, the level of 77.85, or you may actually set it lower, okay, if you are planning to hold this trade longer term, all right. Now, realize that, there's this line, this green line that I've just placed at the bottom here is actually a strong support, right? You see, we can see that, in September and early October, it actually tested 3 times before bouncing off, all right? Well, it didn't actually manage to break below, all right? So if you guys would like to push this trade more, okay, in a scenario whereby it's a sell trade, all right, then you guys can actually push it more for like 230, 240 pips, okay? But pay attention that, bear in mind that this 230, 240 pips TP may take really a while before it can be realized, okay? And as usual, like I always say, there are times whereby there are like major events, economic events or announcements coming in, right? And we may actually want to close our trades for whatever profit it's currently making us, okay, before the news is being released, okay, before the scheduled news is being released. This is because, we don't want to turn a losing trade into, we don't want to turn a winning trade into a losing trade, all right? So, in a scenario whereby Kiwi yen is running at like, I don't know, 140 pips, 150 pips already, okay, and you guys have a TP set at this 240 pips mark, then, if there's like major news, like say, for example, another RBNC meeting, okay, coming up next, okay. Well, you guys may actually want to just close the trade, right, for the 140 pips, because who knows what the RBNC is going to announce, and especially if you are not prepared for what they're going to be announcing, right? Because I mean, right now I'm preparing you guys, telling you guys why it's possible that the RBNC may be hiking interest rate by 0.5%, but the next time around they may not be doing it anymore, okay? And as much as we hope any further monetary policy meeting to be eventful, it may actually turn out non-event. It's a non-event, all right? So prices may not move that much, okay? And as you guys see, new Kiwi yen, yen is a safe haven currency, okay? Any political turmoil, risk-off sentiment and things like that, or risk-on sentiment and things like that may actually cause Kiwi yen to move, okay? Because yen is a safe haven currency, all right? So with that, the major news is on Wednesday, okay, at 0900 GMT hours, and there's a press conference at 1000 hours as well, okay, GMT +8, where Governor Orr, the central bank's chief, will be speaking, okay. So, whatever the rate hike turns out to be, please pay attention to the statement, okay, because the statement may actually mention things like, oh, we are doing a 0.5% hike right now, okay. However, okay, we may not be looking at any further interest rate hike for the time being. Now, that is a real tricky scenario, okay, because 0.5% rate hike, like I mentioned previously, is a very hawkish move, all right? It's good. I'm expecting the Kiwi, the New Zealand dollar to strengthen across the board. However, okay, if they were to mention anything like, we're going to put a pause on interest rate hikes in the near future, okay, and we will supervise the progress made in the New Zealand's economy or the property market before putting rate hike back on the table, then that may actually be a dovish hike. This is something that we don't wish it will happen, all right, dovish hike. Initial response will be strengthening of the New Zealand dollar across the board, okay? Later on, you will start seeing New Zealand dollar coming back down, okay? Start to weaken and, weaken more than, more than it initially started, okay? More than the price level that it actually opens from the start of the market, okay? And the worst thing is, to actually have a buy stop order being triggered, all right? Followed by a sell stop order being triggered later on in the day, okay? Hence, by then, you probably have hit your stop loss for the buy stop, okay? So yeah, just pay attention to the statement, okay? And pay attention to the press conference by Governor Orr as well, because I'm pretty sure the reporters, the journalists, they are likely going to prompt Governor Orr on, what's next, okay? With QE having ended right now, having done interest rate hike already, what's next? Can we expect more interest rates coming from the central bank, the New Zealand central bank, or are you guys going to take a pause, take a break from any further hike? Okay, so yeah, with that, if this trade idea gets triggered, I will update you guys again on the Traders Club and in our EcoPin platform and our Facebook group, all right? And then if there's any updates that need to, like for example, any levels that I personally feel that it's good to just close it for whatever profits, then I will highlight again, I'll inform you guys, alert you guys again in the EcoPin platform. All right. With that, I will see you guys again in tomorrow's currency call. Take care for now. Bye bye.